Hello everybody, welcome. Thanks so much for joining. It's great to have you here. Even though I can't see you, I can feel you all being here with me today. So thanks so much for joining. My name's Anna Stauffenberg, and today I'm going to be running a workshop called Detectives of Sound, which is just all about sound, basically. Get you all thinking about sound in a bit of a different way. We're going to be learning a little bit about what sound even is. Very briefly, why we can even hear things in the first place. And then I thought I'd share with you my favourite facts and my favourite kind of fun things that I've learned over a few years of working with sound in the form of a pop quiz. So get your pens and paper ready. So this workshop is part of the Echo Happiness Hub. Echo, as I'm sure you all know, it's a charity supporting children and young people with congenital heart disease and their families. So Echo is there for families at every stage of their heart journey. And it provides practical information as well as opportunities to connect with other heart families. So this is the Echo Happiness Hub that we're all in today. And it's all about bringing fun, hopefully some distraction and learning to families while we're all at home due to the pandemic, or while they're staying in hospital as their child undergoes surgery, treatment or recovery. So these workshops are hosted in partnership with our friends at the Centre for Medical Engineering at King's College London. And later in the series, we're going to be joined by some scientists to hear about their work, which is really, really exciting. So you can find out some more about how Echo can support you at echo.org.uk. Sorry, that's echo-org.uk. So let's get started with today's workshop, Detectives of Sound. We're all in this together, so say hello in the chat. Please say hello in the chat to let us know who's there. It'd be great to hear some of your virtual voices, and feel free also to use the comment function to share your thoughts and any questions that you have throughout the workshop. I definitely will really emphasize, please write questions, because when I do this workshop, there are lots of really good questions being bandied around. So no question is a stupid one. So please just put that in the comment box if you have one. Just be mindful of other people when you're posting, just because considerate with what you are writing. Cool, so on to the workshop. So welcome to Detectives of Sound. I thought it'd be good to kind of open up just to tell you guys a bit about what the workshop's even about and why I started doing it in the first place. So obviously we're all stuck at home. Lockdown has almost been going on for about a year now, which is getting pretty tiring. But right at the start, kind of back in February, March last year, all my work started being from home. So I started noticing sounds around me a lot more that I hadn't even been aware of. Before then, there was the sound of my housemates stomping up and down the stairs loads every day because we were all suddenly working from home. There was the sound of the secretly really annoying dog next door who was barking all day. There was the sound of the kettle. We're all drinking lots of tea. There were sounds of birds, the wind in the trees outside, the sound of my cat purring, sound of traffic on the street outside. So I was being surrounded by all these sounds that I'd heard before, obviously, but never really been properly aware of. I'm an audio producer. It's what I spend most of my time doing. I make podcasts, so I work with sound all day. And so this kind of got me thinking. I was like, yeah, it's funny, we're not really tapped into the sounds in our surroundings in a way that probably we should be. So I put this workshop together as a way of trying to get myself and people who join me, like you guys are today, tapping into a different side of their surroundings and thinking a bit more creatively about the sounds that are around them every day that they might otherwise take for granted. So my workshops, the Detectives of Sound, is split into 3. This is obviously the first of those. This one today is kind of just a bit of a pop quiz to get us thinking about what sound even is. And then in the next workshop on the 16th of March, I'll be with you again. We'll be exploring the sounds in our surroundings. And then in the final one on the 6th of April, we'll be making some sounds of our own. So we'll be getting really creative in that one. So it would be great to have you guys with me for those 2 as well. Okay, so on to a little introduction about what is even sound. I mean, this is harping back to GCSE physics, which I'm not going to pretend I can contend with a physics teacher. I'm not a scientist, but I thought it'd be good to give you guys a little introduction to what sound even is before we start learning some fun facts about it. So sound is basically created by movement. So if an object moves, it vibrates very, very slightly. And what it's doing is it's pushing the air around it out in all directions. The same happens with my voice box. So when I'm speaking now. If you feel your voice box here when you're talking, you can feel it moving. So that's what sound is: movement that pushes the airwaves, and the airwaves are hitting things all around us, hitting the walls, it's hitting my plants, it's hitting my furniture, my bed, the walls. Sometimes, well, actually really often, it hits people's eardrums. And that is when the idea of sound comes into play. So the airwaves hitting someone's eardrums, and the eardrum is then translating that. It's kind of vibrating along with the airwaves, and those vibrations get translated into sound by, I don't know what, neurons in the brain, I'm guessing, something amazing. So that's why we can hear things, and that's what sound is. Some animals have a lot better sound than others, like dogs obviously very famously have very, very, very good sound. I think they can hear 10 times as well as humans. And some animals have really, really bad sound. I think as you get older as a human, your ability to pick up sound gets worse. That's why people get a bit more deaf as they get older. But generally, everyone can hear because of the airwaves in the air. Okay, so as I said at the start, we are going to do a little pop quiz. So I've got 12 questions for you, all about kind of my favourite facts about sound, things that hopefully you don't know, things that I found out through working with sound over a few years, and things that I've just found through searching on the internet. So could you all please grab a pen and a piece of paper? If you're sat with your families, feel free to work together, or If you want to be a bit more competitive, you can split off into groups. It is up to you. Okay, so pens and paper at the ready. Question number 1. Can you tell me what is the loudest naturally made sound on the earth? So I want the loudest naturally made sound on the earth. So naturally made obviously means it hasn't been made by some scientist doing something crazy in a lab. Something natural on the earth as well, not in space. And hopefully maybe some of you recognise this painting, but that's related to the answer. Might give you a little clue. Okay, so the loudest naturally made sound on earth, question number 1. Question 2 is, what travels faster, sound or light? So what travels faster? Does light travel faster or does sound travel faster? Superman has got nothing to do with the answer, but why wouldn't you put Superman in a PowerPoint? So what travels faster, light or sound? If you're stuck or you need a clue, think about lightning. That might help you. And then sticking with Superman on this slide, in 1 second, this is your next question, how many times around the Earth do you think light travels? So in 1 second, how many times do you think light travels around the Earth? Now, you might think it doesn't travel around the Earth at all. You might think it travels from London to Paris, or from London to Delhi, or you might think it travels twice around the Earth, or 10 times, or 100 times, or just the once. What do you reckon? In 1 second, how many times do you think it travels around the Earth? Okay, question number 4 onto the next slide is, does sound travel faster in air or in water? That's maybe a bit of an easier one. Oh, hello, Casper. I've got a hello from Casper. Lovely to have you here, Casper. So, does sound travel faster in air or water is your question. So if this whale, I think this is a sperm whale, makes a sound to its friends in the water, do its friends hear the sound faster than if it was doing it above the water, or slower? Question number 5. So this is a sound question. So what's going to happen in a few seconds is you're going to hear a sound be played through the laptop at you, hopefully, if my tech whiz is working. And I want you to listen to the sound. It's about 10 seconds long. I want you to listen to the sound and have a think, what is that sound? You'll only hear it once, so listen carefully. So here we go. This is your sound. Okay, that was your sound. I'm not going to give you any clues. Actually, I lie. I'm going to give you a clue, but I'm going to give you a visual clue. So back on the PowerPoint that I've with the photos that I've been showing you, I have put a little photo up as a clue. If you're really, really stuck. So just think, what was that sound? Have a little discussion amongst your families, or if you're by yourself, have a little think. Have you ever heard that sound before? If you're not sure what it is, where do you think it might be? Okay, I'll leave you with that one. Question number 6. This is nice and easy, true or false? Most cows that listen to music produce more milk than cows that don't. So you can see here in the photo, you've got some lovely cows being played, what looks like a full-on brass band version of something by a great looking group of women. So do you think these cows that you can see in the photo will produce more milk from listening to music or less milk? Okay, and on to question number 7. Simple question. What is this? What do you think this is? You might need to make the photo a little bit bigger here. I'm not sure if you can see it properly. Yeah, what do you think that is? Bonus question if you can tell me, sorry, bonus point if you can tell me exactly where this thing is. And if you can tell me a fact to do with it, then you get a 3rd bonus point, because that will be very impressive. But just for the 1 point, what do you think this is? Question number 8 in your sound detective sounds pop quiz. So this is one of my favourite facts, and people who I tell it to don't really believe it, but it's true. I've Googled it in lots of different places, so hopefully you'll find it interesting. The question is, imagine, so do you remember when I said at the start that all sound is when something moves and it makes the airwaves around it vibrate and move, and they move towards what hopefully will end up being an ear. When it hits the ear, that makes sound. What happens when you're just speaking is that sound is a form of energy. So as with anything, as with light, sound is also a form of energy. So if you manage to get those sound waves and translate them into a different form of energy, they can actually create heat. Something, again, scientific. I'm not entirely sure how it works. But all forms of energy can create heat as well if it's done in the right way. So my question is, if this little guy here with his 2 front teeth is shouting at a cup of coffee, how long does he have to shout at the cup of coffee before enough energy has been transferred from the movement of the airwaves into the cup of coffee for that cup of coffee to be heated up to 50 degrees? So the question is, how long would you have to shout at a cup of coffee for it to become 50 degrees Celsius, not Fahrenheit? So again, have a chat with your family members. If you're sat by yourself or with your friends, have a little think or a discussion. I once had someone say 500 years, which was an interesting one. I had someone say 5 minutes, which was also an interesting one. So see what you think. Okay. I'm hoping you'll have chatted about that now. We're going to go on to question number 9. So another easy peasy one. True or false? Flies can hear. Do you think that's true or false? Flies can hear. Another interesting one that I found out recently. I like this fact. True or false? Flies can hear. Okay, on to question number 10. Simple question. Okay, the photo here is a bit misleading. It's not about frogs, but it's about loud animals. And I found this photo and thought, those frogs are definitely being really loud. So the question is, what is the loudest animal? Simple, easy. Loudest animal on the earth. What do you reckon? Okay. Hopefully you've reached a consensus on that amongst your families and your groups. Just a little reminder, any questions that come up, or if you disagree with anything I'm saying, give us a comment. It'd be lovely to hear your thoughts. Okay, question 11. We've got 2 more questions. The question is, another true or false, you cannot hear music in space. True or false, you can't hear music in space. So we've got here a picture of Lisa Simpson, for those of you who don't know The Simpsons, in a weird little glass cube, listening to music. But the question is, can she hear the music or not? And your last question. Okay, again, an easy question with not an easy answer. So, what is this? What do you think this is? It's kind of a weird round instrument thing with A ball hanging down the middle. What do you reckon that might be? I'll give you a little clue. It's from the 1880s, so over 140-ish years ago. So it's a very old object. But what do you think it is? I'll give you 5 more seconds on that. Have a little chat. And now we're going to go on to the answers. So what I would like you to do, please, is as we're going, it's 1 point per correct answer. If you think I'm wrong, totally write in the comments. If you wrote the right answer, let us know. If you wrote the wrong answer, let us know what you put instead. Because it's also always interesting to hear what people come up with. Also, no such thing as a wrong answer. I feel like, be creative, be as creative as you want, but 1 point per answer that I say is technically the correct one. So if you get the correct one, give yourself 1 point, count them up as you go. And what I'll ask you to do is at the end, pop what you got in the comments section. That'd be great. And if you are watching this video a bit later on in your own time at home, so you're not live right now, then that's great. Thanks again for being here. But feel free to leave your score or any thoughts in the comments below the video. So rather than in the live chat function. Wonderful. So let's go back to the questions, shall we? Let's see what the answers are. So the first question we had was, what is the loudest naturally made sound? And the answer was, as this picture shows you, an erupting volcano. And actually, a lot of people say lion, but lions are really loud, but it's not lion, it's erupting volcanoes. And this picture is from an eruption that happened in, again, the 1880s. I think it was like 1883 or something like that, from this volcano called Krakatoa, which is down near Singapore and the Philippines, around that area. And it was so loud that it could be heard 4,000 miles away. I don't know where that would equate to on the map, but surely that must be reaching almost to Europe. And it was so loud that it actually ruptured eardrums of people 20 miles away. So that's crazy. It was so loud. And people think that actually it was the inspiration for this photo, which was The Scream by Edvard Munch. So lots of people think that because the colours in it and because he's obviously holding his hands to his ears, that he's hearing the Krakatoa explosion, which, you can believe if you want to. I'm not sure if it's 100% true, but I like it. Okay, on to the next question. Question 2. So 1 point for erupting volcano. Question 2. The answer is, the question was, does light travel faster than sound, or does sound travel faster than light? And the answer is, as that banner just kindly showed, light. So yes, light travels a heck of a lot faster than sound. I think sound only travels 300 meters in a second-ish, whereas light travels a lot faster than that, as we're about to find out in question 3. So how many times around the Earth does light travel in 1 second? The answer wasn't 1 time, it wasn't 2 times, it wasn't from Paris to London, it was 7.5 times around the Earth in 1 second, which is absolutely crazy, and I can't believe when I found that out. And I don't think that Superman quite manages to break that barrier. Okay, so on to question 4, which was kind of a similar question. Does sound travel faster through water or through air? And the answer is through water. So if you're swimming underwater and you shout to your friend, they'll be able to hear you much faster than if you shouted to them above the water. And it actually travels, I think it's about 4 times as fast through water. And that's because, just to get nerdy and scientific, it's because the molecules in the water are much, much closer together. So it can transport the sound a lot faster. And on to the sound question. This is one of my favourite questions, question number 5. So we're going to just listen to the sound again. It was that weird crackling sound that we heard. And then I would love to hear live what you guys actually think. But because there's a slight delay between me talking and you guys hearing this, you'll have to write at the end what you thought. So just give it a listen. and then let me know in the chat function what you thought it was. So we'll hear it again. Don't know if I'm hearing that right. Oh, that's okay. The technological gods are not on our side. That's okay. Hopefully you can remember it okay. So we will just move on to the answer for that one. But yeah, I'll try and paint the image of the sound in your mind so you can think what it was. It was kind of that crackling popcorn sound. Someone has told me before that they thought it was popcorn. It's not popcorn. It is the sound of something called the snapping shrimp, which you can see here in the photo. Is it a cute creature or is it quite ugly? I can't decide. But it's also called the pistol shrimp for the obvious reason that it's just so loud. So it's louder than the sound of a bullet, and it makes it by snapping its claws together, which is crazy. It actually has the amazing ability to stun its prey without even touching them, because the sound is so loud. It stuns the prey, which is just totally crazy. Okay, question 6. On to question 6. So this question was about the cows. So the question was, if a cow listens to music, does it produce more milk than cows that don't, or does it produce less milk? This is based on the majority of cows that have had this test done to them. And the answer was true. Cows that listen to music do produce more milk. So that's a good tip for dairy farmers out there. Just play a bit of Mozart. You got your production up by a lot. I like that fact. And on to question 7. So there we have the cows listening to the music. Lovely. On to question 7. So this was a picture clue. So we can see the picture again. That would be lovely. Great. So this question was just, what is this? And the answer is the world's quietest room. So this is sound deadening. So all of these things, I don't know what you call them really, like panels, stop sound from bouncing off the walls. So it kind of gets rid of any sound reaching your ears. And if no sound waves are reaching your ears, you're not hearing anything. So it's just totally quiet. And it's in Minnesota. So if someone got Minnesota, give yourself a bonus point. And scientists have basically developed it for various scientific experiments and things. But apparently it's so quiet that people can't spend more than 45 minutes in it, because they just go crazy and start to have hallucinations. That's really quite shocking. And they actually also can apparently hear their internal organs because it's so quiet, like the beating of their internal organs, which is crazy. Okay, on to the next question, question 8. Oh, I've got a message. Dottie says the snapping shrimp is so cool. Yeah, it is really cool. It's such a cool sound, isn't it? I wonder if Dottie thought that it was popcorn or whether she realized that it was an animal. I thought it was popcorn when I first heard it. Okay, great. So on to this next question. So the answer here, the question was, as a recap, how long would you have to shout at a cup of coffee before you heat it up to 50 degrees? The answer is 8 years, 7 months and 6 days. I don't know how anyone has calculated that. I'm certain it's very approximate, like fairly random estimate. I'm sure it would definitely differ on how loud you're shouting, but as a general rule, it would be about 8 years and 7 months. I'll give you the point if you got within 2 years. I'll give you the point of that. But I'd love to hear what other people thought. So please pop that in the chat, because I'd be interested to hear what you guys thought. Great, on to question number 9. So the question here was about flies. Can flies hear? Or it was a true or false, wasn't it? So I asked, true or false? Flies can hear. And the answer is false. They can't hear. They have no eardrum, no ability to hear anything, which is probably just as well because they're so damn loud. Okay, on to question number 10. So you've just got 3 more questions left. Keep the comments coming. I'd love to know what you thought was interesting. What's the loudest animal? The answer is, can anyone guess? The sperm whale. Wonder if anyone got that. I'm guessing there are a few lions chucked in there. Can't think of any more really loud animals. But yeah, the sperm whale. That's loudest. They used to think it was the blue whale, but now they found out that sperm whales are apparently a little bit louder. On to question 11. So the answer here was, or the question here was, true or false, you can't hear music in space, and the answer is true. You actually can't, there's no sound in space because space is a vacuum, which just means that there's no air particles. So because there's no air particles, the sound isn't able to be transported through the air. So you can't hear. There's no sound. So Lisa is just sat in her little cube listening to nothing on her iPod. On to the last question. What is this? Now, this is a bit trickier. And if you got this, give yourself a bonus point, please, because I'll be very impressed. This is the world's first ever microphone, and it was invented in around 1881. It's called the carbon button microphone. And you can see that it works in the same principle as the eardrum. So as sound is going into it, the ball is bouncing back and forth on, I presume it was probably animal hide, like skin, a bit like a drum, and it's tapping at the same pattern as the sound from someone's voice that's going into it, and then that's creating sound. So look it up if you fancy. That's really, I like that fact. There's loads of cool photos of it. So that's the carbon button microphone. Okay, so let's go into scores. So if you could all pop your scores into the chat, that'd be lovely. Count them up. 1 point per correct answer. Give yourself a bonus point if you got that it's the world's quietest room rather than just a soundproof room. Give yourself a bonus point if you got that that's the world's first. Actually, no, don't give yourself a bonus point about the first microphone. 1 point for that one, I think. Let's be fair. But give yourself a point if you got 2 years either side of the shouting at the cup of coffee thing. So pop them in the chat as soon as you can. As I say, if you're at home, share under the video in the comments section what you got or any questions you found particularly interesting. That would be lovely. And whilst you guys are doing that, I wanted to share something else with you just to close off today. So this is kind of my favourite thing, and I think that people love the most in these workshops that I do. Sadly, I can't play it to you today because you need headphones to listen to it. So I'd love you to go away and listen to it in your own time. It's something called the Schumann Resonance. So that's written there. You can see that written there on the screen. And what this is just a fancy name given to what people discovered was the sound of the earth. So if we remember right back at the start, I said, sound is created by something vibrating, and everything makes a slow vibration all the time, including the earth. The earth is constantly doing tiny little vibrations. And what's happening when it's doing that is it's creating a really low, really, really, really low, deep hum that actually we can't hear with our normal ears. But scientists have created, fancy instruments so they can pick it up. But it's such a low hum, it hums at 7.83 hertz, if you want to know, which is a really, really low frequency. So that's why we can't hear it. Our ears aren't sensitive enough for it. But it's the sound of the earth. So people go and then they listen to it. You can listen to it on YouTube. If you, I think we've got a link to share that you guys should check out. If you just type in Schumann Resonance on YouTube, put your headphones in, sit down and close your eyes and listen to it. It's such a lovely, calming sound. And I think people believe because it's the sound of the earth, it's like something, kind of within us that we feel really calm with. So people use it a lot for stress and meditation and going to sleep and things. And so if you fancy it, go and give that a listen and tune into the sound of the earth. Okay, how are we doing on those scores? I'd love to know what you guys got. Or if it's easier, you can just share them afterwards and share any thoughts that you had on the questions. That might be better. So we've got someone saying that they absolutely loved the first microphone picture and they'd never seen that before. Yeah, I loved that fact. I found that really interesting. Couldn't believe it when I first saw it. And someone else has just let us know again, they also loved the snapping shrimp. Go and look at a video of the snapping shrimps. They're crazy how quickly they move the claws. So thanks very much for these comments. That's really great. Feel free to share what you got with Echo afterwards. That'd be lovely. Or you can go back on the video when it's put up, and you can share what you got. That would be lovely. So thank you so much for joining the Happiness Hub today. It's been so nice having you all here. Thanks for your comments. If you enjoyed being a detective of sound today, join me again on the 16th of March, where, as I said at the beginning, we'll start exploring sounds in our surroundings. So we'll start getting a bit more creative. We'd love to hear what you thought and what you discovered in today's session. So please share your thoughts on Twitter with the hashtag Echo Happiness Hub, which you can see on the screen there. If you want to speak to someone at Echo or wish to access available support, please visit their website for further details, which you can also see on the screen. Thanks for joining us so much today. It's been lovely, and we hope to see you next Tuesday at the same time for Origami with Lizzie and a scientist, Lindsay, who will chat about her research. So that'll be really interesting. Thanks so much, and goodbye.